Here on Belle Isle, Castroneves, Pagano, Montoya. But this is all for third, fourth, and fifth. Connor Daly leads. Sebastian Bourdais just got on and off pit road and stayed ahead of this group.
Well, we can take Daly out of it because he's going to have to pit pretty soon. So Bourdais and Castroneves and Pagano all stand a very good chance of finding themselves right at the front pretty soon. Great, look how close they're running to each other. There's not half a foot.
Well, as we talked about before, and Jan chronicled that when you're running that close to a car in front, your car is sliding a little bit, so you start to wear the tires off. Now, for Juan Pablo Montoya, who pitted a little later, tires are a little fresher. He's getting close, guys, because he wants to get by Simon Pagano that's ahead of him.
Because right ahead of Pagano is Castroneves.
But again, Bourdais is 4 seconds up the road ahead of these three.
And he's putting a gap between them.
There he is, 11. Now, he won one of these two races last year. And there's Graham Rahal right behind trying to join the fight. Montoya inside of Pagano. And he's through.
Perfectly clean pass. Now we'll see what Montoya can do on Castroneves. Montoya's closing the gap, and he's by.
Yeah, I think that they're letting Montoya go off and chase Sebastian Bourdais, because I think that they're wondering now whether or not Helio Castroneves will be able to make it on fuel along with Simon Pagano. Are they maybe a couple of laps short?
Can Montoya run down Bourdais? When will Connor Daly pit? Who wins in Detroit? We find out after this from your ABC station. Looking at Connor Daly, who when we left you was the race leader. He's just gone on and off pit road for a splash of fuel and come out second.
He is driving his heart out.
Our Honda telemetry.
He came out of pit lane, used the push to pass. He has two of those left, as does Sebastian Bourdais. So now he needs to push as hard as he can, see if he can get closer to Sebastian. We'll watch the times for you and let you know the speeds that those guys are doing.
Sebastian is a very strong competitor when it comes at the end of these races.
I'd call him a closer.
Yeah, he is. You're right. He's a closer. Look at Daly braking right at the limit. His tires keep smoking on the way into the corners. This is his chance to win an IndyCar.
Well, if there's a young man, a young American that can drive a car to the limit, it's certainly Connor from all his experience in Europe. You spoke about driving at Monaco. He got a chance to drive at Monaco, thought that was a thrill because his dad drove at Monaco in F1.
So, Sebastian Bourdais' team has worked the strategy to get their driver the lead with 8 laps to go. Jan?
And of course you say, how did they do that? How did Sebastian Bourdais get in the lead and Connor Daly right behind? Well, remember, everyone who stopped on lap 43, that was 27 laps to go. It means they went into ultra-conservative mode. That would be Castroneves, Pagano. At the meantime, these two cars you're watching, they were full gas. They went for it. They each made a pit stop and did not take tires. They only took enough fuel to get them to the end. They have plenty of fuel. These two cars in the screen, Montoya is trying to chase them down because he stopped later. But right now, Bourdais is in the catbird seat because of some very clever strategy on pit road.
I think Montoya is running out of time. It's going to be between these first two cars, Bourdais and Daly.
See Montoya not even in the frame. There he is, 3 seconds back, 7 laps to go, and charging hard. Bourdais, last year in the Sunday race here at Detroit, was part of a group that was first off pit road that made the move 2 slicks from rain tires. He restarted 5th then, took the lead at lap 51 when a bunch of others pitted. Then there were so many restarts. At the end of that race, he had to survive one after the other, 6 restarts. With the lead, he had to get away from the field. He did it and won the race, one of 2 that he would win a year ago.
And I think he's about to have another one here in Detroit. He's put even a little bit more gap between himself and Daly. I can't tell if it's raining with these cameras or not.
Bourdais, the native of Le Mans, France, so excited about after the race next weekend in Texas, heading to his hometown to run the 24-hour of Le Mans sports car race.
He doesn't need the traffic in front of him right now. It's going to be very difficult to get by these two cars.
Hinchcliffe, who's laps down after his problem earlier, gives way.
That's how you do it. That's a favor that will be repaid to him at some point in the year.
Bourdais so dominant in open wheel racing back during the split era, if you will, in the kart series. Won 4 consecutive titles. Says then he was the big dog with the big team. Now he's with a smaller team, and he really relishes coming in and beating the big teams at their own game.
Scott, you are absolutely right. He is a closer.
You know, it's one of the quietest guys in the paddock. That's the funny thing about it. He puts that helmet on, and he just goes, you know, into this mode that he attacks. It's amazing.
He's quiet until he gets angry. I've seen him have the odd argument.
Well, there was a little bit of discussion going on in the drivers' meeting this morning, and Sebastian was involved in that also, about some qualifying that we had earlier yesterday about drivers not being happy with each other, and so the drivers' meeting this morning got quite heated. And, you know, so he's one that voiced his opinion. But, you know, I think it's just a fall off of everything that goes on from Indy. If you don't have a good Indy 500 and you come here to Detroit, you know, you're so anxious to do so very well.
The gap is now 3.4 seconds between Bourdais and Daly, and Montoya is another 3 seconds behind Daly. 4 seconds.
Talked about Bourdais getting ready to go run in his hometown of Le Mans. He and Scott Dixon and some others going to go over there after the race at Texas Motor Speedway a week from today. They're going to run the 24-hour race. Immediately after the race, a week from tomorrow, going to come back to the United States to go do a tire test at Watkins Glen the following afternoon.
It's a lot of driving.
It's a lot of flying. And Connor Daly having a terrific day. Dale Coyne again. I've said it a few different times. So good at working the strategy, and he's done it again to put his young driver in position for a podium.
You mentioned mid-sized teams, small teams. You'd have to really say Dale Coyne's one of the smaller teams here, and you mentioned, Alan, about the strategy. How many times has he put a driver up there with a chance of winning?
And if you're a driver, that's all you ask, right? Give me a chance.
Especially when you're a rookie like Daly. To be a rookie and find yourself in second position. That's impressive. The gap is now 3.2 between Bourdais and Daly.
And Connor's doing about the same speed right now that Sebastian Bourdais is, about a 1:16.1, a 1:16.2. I thought Montoya was going to have something for Connor Daly, but his speeds that last time around was, about a second slower, 1.17. So it doesn't seem like he's in the attack mode right now, or doesn't have the car that he can run that speed. You know, we thought earlier in this race that it was going to be all Penske because we saw Penske 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1 to 3, and you know, it might just be a time again when Roger doesn't have one of his cars winning here at his hometown race.
It never comes down to how good your car is doing in the middle of the race. It always is right at the end that it counts. Look at Daly. He's keeping up. He just took a 10th off the distance between him and Bourdais, but Bourdais in traffic, in a lot of traffic.
Marco Andretti, 27. Mikhail Aleshin in 7, just ahead of the race leader.
In their 4th position. Marco cannot pull over because if he does, Aleshin will pass him. So he has to take care of Aleshin first. And Bourdais has to find a way to navigate around both of them. And now we only have 3 laps to go.
Now for Connor Daly, he's seen this exchange happen up in front, so he digs a little deeper, pushes a little more.
Left, be sensible.
That's Jimmy Vasser from the KV Racing team. He says, be sensible, trying to calm his driver down, so no doubt that he's getting very excited. Jimmy Vasser, a past driver and past champion.
But Connor Daly getting closer and closer in the mirrors as Bourdais is hung in traffic.
This is when you grab the steering wheel a little tighter and your heart rate's going up. There goes Sebastian.
They're having quite the fight. And Marco lets him by. That's a perfect bit of driving. Perfect.
Well, I'll tell you that those two guys are buddies, Marco and Connor. So,
all right, we're plus one now.
Bourdais gets
and
very
second.
sideways. Daly has closed the gap to under second.
Wheel two, back to two.
2 laps to go.
So Connor got close enough just to get a bit of a feel and a smell for it, but it looks like for certain Sebastian has the faster car. We'll just watch to see if we can gap him a little bit more on this lap. A little bit more traffic up ahead.
That's just Aloshin. And other than he, there is no one ahead for about half a mile ahead of Aloshin.
If Daly can just
stopped a bit.
If Daly can just get a little bit closer, he'll start filling up Bourdais' mirrors, and that is always a problem when somebody is that close.
Indianapolis, Sebastian Bourdais' team used the same fuel strategy as winner Alexander Rossi to get a 10th place finish out of what had been a very difficult month on the oval track. He spent the week between here in Detroit and Indianapolis with his family in a motorhome at the Cedar Point Amusement Park. Said it's one of the highlights of their season, a family road trip between the 2 races. Now he's 1 lap away from capping off that family road trip with a checkered flag for a 2nd year in a row at Detroit.
So neat and tidy, so much experience, as you mentioned, Eddie. And for the Motor City right now, a Chevrolet-powered car running first.
A Honda second.
Turn 7, the final time. Half a lap to go. Open wheel racing statistics, this victory will tie Sebastian Bourdais with Bobby Unser for 6th all time as he comes to the final corners. They worked their magic on pit lane and he did the rest. Checkered flag, and Sebastian Bourdais wins at Detroit for a 2nd straight year.
Thank you, boys. Well, you guys made it stick today. Great strategy. Really, really good. Thank you very much.
So Kevin Kalkoven and Jimmy Vassar there. Both team owners excited for the win.
They're making a habit of winning in Detroit. Great win. They saved the day for GM and
Bud. You put the
Chevy.
pace in. Hell of a drive.
Well, summed up on both sides of that radio conversation. Great strategy, got him in position, and a great drive. Did the rest.
Did not put a foot wrong the whole time. That was very tricky today, Scott, wasn't it? The conditions were not easy.
I think now it's settling in. It took him a half an hour to really understand what was going on there. You know, that's the thing about this series. Not only do we have so many different various tracks coming from Indianapolis last week, now to a street course, and the guys will go off to a 1.5 mile oval next week. So the diversity of these drivers are amazing, but also the competitiveness in the series. I mean, here's a mid-level team that's coming out and beating the powerhouse teams of Penske, Ganassi, and Andretti Autosport. So I think it's one of the most competitive series here in the world.
This race had a lot. When you think about all the different things that happened in this race, from the troubles on pit road for Scott Dixon early, the accident that kind of threw Simon Pagenaud's initial pit strategy into a wrench. Will Power, one of the contenders to win, sitting in the runoff for the rest of the race with the right rear wheel missing from his car. The weather threatening, spitting, never just opening up. And the strategy play that gets Sebastien Bourdais back into the winner's circle.
Strategy is becoming a very important component to IndyCar racing.
Well, look, when everyone has good equipment and the drivers are all good and it's hard to find ways to gain an advantage technically, that's how you pass them.
That is a very convincing win.
And he'll need to rest well tonight because we get to come back again tomorrow.
How tired do you think their hands and their forearms will be tomorrow morning?
Well, we've driven here. We understand that. I mean, we used to take a week.
He doesn't have a week. He's got one good dinner and a night sleep.
And getting the congratulations of the team. One of the first to the car was Jimmy Vasser. And Sebastien, Jimmy came right to the car with that huge grin because between the two of you was strategy today. That was just a great call from pit lane, and you had to deliver.
Yeah, I mean, the car was obviously really quick, and all we needed was clean air to come back from that, pretty average qualifying. And I mean, I really couldn't, dream of that. I don't even know how we got there. We just ran like stink most of the race, and it worked out. So couldn't be any happier for Chevrolet and Hydroxycut today.
Well, funny enough, the key was that you didn't care for the red sidewall Firestone, so you wanted to get rid of them. So you pitted on lap 3. That turned out to be the bomb because your pit sequence then worked perfectly.
Yeah, I think it would have worked even better had we, not pit with everybody else, because we ended up just pretty much where we were before. So I couldn't pass Gabby, and it was like for a long time I really thought the strategy was a total mess and it was never going to work. And then when we finally got some clean air, then I could start to click some quick lap times and make it happen.
Now, last year you won race number 2. Now you've won race number 1. Obviously, you're just shocked that you're here, but what about this momentum for tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I can only hope for good conditions and hopefully a better qualifying, because I think if we put that 11 car up front in qualifying, it's going to be tough to beat.
All right. Fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing better than winning when you've worked hard for it, and they worked hard for it today here in Detroit. Sebastien Bourdais, the winner of race 1 in the duel at Detroit. More to come from the Motor City in just a minute. Little boost from Dad in victory lane. Very nice. Sebastien Bourdais, the winner at Detroit today. Jimmy Vasser there, left of the screen, taking a picture. Helped work the strategy to make it happen. The real key was the last pit stop. Bourdais, with his splash of fuel, exiting the pit lane as Helio Castroneves and Simon Pagenaud came steaming by. And watch this pit exit.
And as we've been saying the whole race, the out lap is the most important lap. He takes a defensive line, shuts the door down on Castroneves, makes it through that corner, heats up his tires, and the rest is history.
Checkered flag and first win of the season for Sebastien Bourdais. And a look now at the finishing results from today's race. Tip of the cap to Connor Daly with a podium finish.
He's going to win these races very quickly here, maybe even tomorrow in a Honda power plant. And that's not been the best package so far in road courses this year, Eddie, so it's great to see that result.
Well, I think they've made a big improvement, though. That was really important today. And Alexander Rossi finishes 10th after winning Indy.
Started 17th today on a day when track position was hard to come by. Simon Pagenaud winds up 13th.
Not the result they were expecting. They were very, very strong in the middle of the race. He was very quick in the beginning, but no result.
And Scott Dixon falling out of a race for the first time in a very long time, and failed to finish here. And so that's how they ran today here at Detroit. Connor Daly standing by with Rick.
I can tell you we're getting rained on down here in pit lane, but Connor Daly does not mind. You said this feels like a win. Why?
It's just we've been through a lot this year, and especially coming off Indy. That was such a punch in the gut. I mean, we had a great car there too, but we're always having to fight from the back, which we're making things difficult on ourselves. But it's just small things. I mean, just small gremlins every time, and I'm still a rookie at this, so there's a lot for me to learn. But gosh, the guys on the stand called a beautiful race. Fantastic.
Yeah, but it's your decision not to take tires at the end that may have made the difference in getting your second place.
Oh heck, thanks Firestone. Yeah, I mean it was great. I mean the tires lasted all the way to the end, so it was actually amazing because they kept getting better, and that was really awesome. So, just gave us a shot to fight for the top 3.
All right, you've got to come back for another race tomorrow. You were so tired you could barely stand up.
Yeah.
What's it going to take to come back and be competitive again tomorrow?
Just hydration, I think. I mean, I felt good out there. Once you get in the zone, you're all right. Like, everything feels good. But, I mean, it was tough. I mean, last year it was wet, right? So we didn't quite feel how tough this place is. But now I got an idea of it, and it's hard. It's a hard place. But I'm so happy. I'm so thankful to be here, and thankful that you can interview me, Rick. I mean, this is like the first time all year, so it's super exciting.
All right, one very happy young man, Connor Daly, best career finish, Doc.
Well, Juan Pablo Montoya comes home 3rd and 1, and we heard you guys talking about playing the rain game, saving fuel. In the end, what cost you a shot at winning?
Well, I think that, we just didn't push it. We were saving fuel there leading, so we're trying to kind of open a small gap, but big difference. We're just trying to match, we didn't want to pit and come back in 2 laps if it rained, so it was a smart move, looking at the radar, the rain was coming. But, everybody at Verizon and, Team Chevy and Team Penske have done an amazing job. And at the end, we had a boost, we had a boost problem at the end, so I think we wouldn't want it anyway.
Juan Pablo Montoya finishes 3rd.
All right, so Montoya on the podium today, along with Connor Daly and Sebastian Bourdais, who'll be on the podium and who'll be in victory lane tomorrow, race 2 in the Duel of Detroit doubleheader. Here on ABC at 3:30 Eastern Time. Weather also forecast to perhaps have an effect on tomorrow's race. There's supposed to be some rain showers overnight. Will they continue during race time? We hope not. But it will be interesting to see if they do. And again, it's on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app also. Sebastian Bourdais in victory lane. Folks at Chevrolet pretty happy about that. Just saw one of their executives walk through the backdrop of that shot with a big smile on his face. Tonight, after Premier Boxing Champions, Sports Center at night with Coach and Connors. They'll recap Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final, preview Game 2 of the NBA Finals, and have all the highlights from the day in Major League Baseball. Sports Center at night, also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. That's a big muscle sailing down toward the Ambassador Bridge. Let's check with Rick.
Standing by with Graham Rahal, who had visions of a slightly higher finish, but not bad, 4th considering where you qualified. But you were talking about the brutal conditions out there and how hard it was on you as a driver. Explain that.
Yeah, it's just physical today. I think the kickback and the steering wheel, the bottoming, our car was, I think we ran it just too low for the conditions today. And the bottoming was so bad on the back straight, I physically couldn't see for the few laps leading up until the tire pressures got up. So frustrated with that, but the United Rentals boys did a great job today, and for us to finish 4th is nice. Obviously my Detroit podium streak, we're gonna have to get it tomorrow to keep it going. I would have liked to get it out of the way today. How Connor and Sebastian got around us there is a little frustrating, but I'm happy for Connor. It's a great day for him.
All right, let's talk about tomorrow and what your plans are. Obviously we haven't qualified yet. We don't know how you're going to start, but there's a possibility of rain. What goes through your mind at this point?
Yeah, it is what it is. Obviously, it's raining here right now, as we talk. So, we got that one in just barely. I'd like to qualify further up. luckily today our start was good. I think I went 10th to 7th on the first lap. Very fortunate for that. But honestly, I'd like to start further up, just make our lives a little easier tomorrow.
All right, the one thing you got to do at the end of that race, for what it's worth, is you didn't have to play fuel strategy. You got to run all out as fast as you could. How much fun was that?
Yeah, it's fun. That's my style. I don't like sitting back. I'm aggressive, and I like to attack as much as I can. And so, it fit my role, so to speak. And I told the guys, they were like, follow the leaders under that yellow. And I said, nah, I'm staying out. I'm not saving fuel the rest of this thing. So, and it worked out because they were in a hole. Had that yellow not been extended for a ridiculous amount of time that didn't make any sense to us in the cars whatsoever, we would have been even better off, Montoya and I, because those guys I don't think could have made it at all. So, but we finished fourth. We had a great day. I'm proud of this team, and United Rentals, appreciate them coming on board, and, hopefully we'll have a good day tomorrow.
All right, planning on a podium on race number 2 for Graham Rahal. Doc?
Well, Leo Castroneves has one more here than anybody, so you know what it takes. Now, we know you were really in a fuel conservation mode. How close was it?
Well, we definitely feel, I'm not sure if we have one more lap we'll be able to make it, but we came all over here, so we did it. The touch car was awesome. I mean, the car was awesome. I was doing everything I want. Obviously, on the red tires was a little bit tough, but towards the end, Roger and the team was like, okay, you got to make this number or that number. It was like, guys, we got to sort it out there because I don't have much time, but great job for the entire team, Penske. Obviously, top 5 is not what we expect, but in the end of the day, I'll take it. The good news is we have one more day, one more race tomorrow, so car is good. Just clean it.
Elio will be a factor here tomorrow.
Well, Elio will be a factor in the championship as things are beginning to shape up. A look at the standings after today. Simon Pagenaud ran out of fuel on the last lap and coasted to a 13th place finish. Scott Dixon fell out, so Castroneves is now the second place driver, though 1 point more distant, just one, than Simon Pagenaud was clear of the field at the start of the race.
I think Castroneves is having a wonderful season. He hasn't quite brought a victory home yet, but he's been very consistent, Scott, and very fast. I expected Simon to do better than he did today.
Well, it's interesting because Simon, as Alan mentioned, ran out of fuel. Both Simon and Elio Castroneves both pitted the last time on the same lap. So obviously Elio getting better fuel mileage. He did not run out of fuel until he got past the finish line. So tomorrow will be about speed or will it be about fuel mileage and strategy? We'll wait and see.
And Scott Dixon's luck has to start changing. He can't keep having something going wrong, Alan, in every race that he enters in.
And with the double point championship finale still looming out there in the future, all of those 10 drivers being within 100 points of the leader means it's still very much a wide open race across the summer. There's the family from the roller coasters at Cedar Point to Victory Lane at Detroit. Not too bad. Good way to spend a week.
Getting the victory here in Detroit.
Podium celebration here on Belle Isle. Montoya third, Daly second, Sebastian Bourdais with the winner's trophy today, and tomorrow they do it all over again. Qualification session in the morning and then another 70-lap race here tomorrow afternoon. For these teams, for these drivers, the process now of late into the night tonight will be what?
Checking everything, making sure it's ready for tomorrow, and the drivers have to hydrate themselves. And they will be very sore come the morning, but they're going to have to go out and do it again. And if the track is wet, it's a completely different race. It has nothing to do with what happened today.
And every time I come here and I've raced this racetrack, I used to always be thankful that we had a week before we had to come back. But we talk about it, and these guys are coming back again tomorrow. Yes, we don't have to use a shifter like we used to have to do before, so you're not beating up your hand and your palm as much as you did. You get to use the paddle shifters, but this racetrack is so rough, it's so abusive, and the guys don't have much time off because next week they go to a Saturday night race at Texas Motor Speedway. So not only the drivers, but the crew. A lot of work to go on here tonight on these doubleheaders.
Yeah, they'll be taking those cars back and literally completely dismantling them and completely rebuilding them well into the night tonight to have them ready for qualifying early in the morning. So you said if it rains, it'll be a totally different race. The weather forecast calls for it to, it's already raining here now a little bit. It's supposed to rain for much of the night tonight into tomorrow morning, looking at possibly a wet qualifying session in the morning. It's supposed to ease off for a chunk of the afternoon. And the latest forecast I saw was about halfway through the race tomorrow, the chance of showers again starts to go up.
And the pressure comes not only teams to prepare a car ready for basically both type of conditions, but also for the drivers because they're entering into a race maybe in a dry condition and it changes to rain. And Eddie, we've talked about this all the time. This is the most difficult circuit to get around because of the bumps, because of the walls, no room for air. So tomorrow if it rains, it's just going to make the day worse.
Oh, but that is so exciting when you're out there with a pair of wets and then it goes dry and you can't decide when to come in, when to stay out. I think that's the most exciting race you will ever see in open wheel.
Okay.
Well, that's tomorrow. More from here in Detroit, same time, same station. ABC at 3:30 Eastern Time with another 70-lap go here on the 14-turn Belle Isle Road Course. Somebody else is going to be holding a trophy and spraying champagne tomorrow afternoon. World News or your local news is coming up next, except on the West Coast. Well, this race had a little bit of everything today. Sunny, dry conditions at the start, but with weather threatening. Some of the favorites playing their way into difficulty, some others having mechanical problems, then fuel strategy deciding track position, and I guess I'll call it a surprise winner.
Well, a surprise winner, but what I think I'm surprised about is it's not all one big team like Penske that we saw leading throughout the day. It's not 1, 2, 3. 3 teams are represented on the podium, so I think tomorrow we'll have the same sort of thing again, Eddie.
This place is a great equalizer. We've seen that over the years. I just saw Derek's son, Connor, drink champagne. Is he old enough to do that?
Yeah, he's 24.
Okay, all right. It looks like he's 18.
I wondered where you were going with that. So Sebastian Bourdais, the winner of race 1 in the duel at Detroit. And tomorrow we do it all again here on ABC at 3:30 Eastern Time. If it's anything like today was, it should have plenty of interesting twists and turns, from Max Chilton's early crash, James Hinchcliffe's difficulties, to contact between teammates, to one of the championship favorites, actually a couple of championship favorites, having their struggles. Join us tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern for round 2 of the duel at Detroit. So you see already the regrouping beginning for tomorrow, and already the calculations and the debriefs beginning back in the motor coaches and the transporters over why such strategies worked today and why they didn't, and what they can do to be where that man is tomorrow. Your winner, Sebastian Bourdais, from Le Mans, France, originally, now from St. Petersburg, Florida. And in Detroit, Michigan today, he's taking home the winner's trophy as the victor in Duel in Detroit #1. For Scott Goodyear and Eddie Cheever, Alan Bestwick on behalf of our entire ESPN on ABC IndyCar team. Thanks for watching. We'll see you here tomorrow.